Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Today is June 28th, 2025, and we are looking at Proverbs chapter 28. And yes, you can probably hear my neighbor mowing their lawn. It's a beautiful day. The sun's not really shining, so it's overcast and it's comfortable outside. I don't blame them for getting out there and mowing. Not one bit. And had I not mowed on Monday and it been hot, I probably would be out there doing it today too. Matter of fact, I should probably go check after I'm done with this just to see how tall the grass really is, because I haven't really looked this week. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, does it? Probably not. Proverbs chapter 28 talks about correcting and directing. And I mean, that's a generalization. But in verse 23 of Proverbs 28, it says this: one who rebukes a person will later find more favor than one who flatters with his tongue. You know, so often in our lives, we find ourselves in a position where somebody has crossed a barrier for us, and we need to put something in place, and we call those boundaries, right? We put boundaries in place where we tell them, you've crossed the line and now you need to make some corrections in your life so that we can come back together, so we can be reconciled, so we can interact with each other. Think about it this way. You have a child who does something wrong and you tell them, don't do that again. And they do it again, and you give them a swat on the butt and you tell them, don't do that again. And they do it again and you give them a swat on the butt and you tell them to go sit in the corner for 10 minutes and think about what they've done. And they go sit in the corner for 10 minutes and they get out of the corner and they come back and they start doing things, and all of a sudden they do it again. Where is the problem? What has happened? We set a boundary, and there is no expectation of what should happen next. They just know that this thing causes them to get negative attention. And while it's not pleasant, and they know that, there is no real deterrent as to the fact that because we're stupid as humans, we can't figure out that things have ramped up to this point, that it might happen again. See, boundaries are absolutely useless unless we actually spell it out. That child goes and smacks their sister. The brother smacks the sister, and you go up and say, don't do that again, that's not nice. And then you go and he smacks her again, and you go and you swat him on the butt and say, I said don't do that again, that's not nice. And he walks up to the sister a little bit later and smacks her again. And you walk up and you swat him on the butt and you tell him to sit in the corner and think about what he's done. And he gets out of the corner after 10 minutes. He's thought about it. She was being mean. He needed to make her stop. And Mom and Dad, they've been smacking me, so it must be okay. This is how you handle it. Instead of going to the child and the first time he smacks his sister, you say, don't do that again, that's not nice. If you do it again, you're going to get a spanking. Now there's a consequence that he understands. And he does it again, and you spank him right away because you told him you were going to. And you say, I said don't do it again. You got the spanking because you did wrong. Now, if you do it again, not only will you get a spanking, but you're going to have to sit in the corner for 10 minutes and think about why I have to punish you. you recognize the process of boundaries. So the one who rebukes a person will later find more favor than the one who just flatters with his tongue. If you're just saying don't do it, you can come back to me in a little while and we can have a conversation. And all I'm asking for is you to change. Well, all you did was give them a time period where they don't have to change. And then we'll come back and they will tell you they want to change. And then all of a sudden, nothing's changed because you didn't define the boundaries. You set a barrier very low, and you never defined any consequences. See, a boundary is not a boundary without consequences. See, when God talks to you and I, He always tells us what the consequences are going to be. What they're going to be in the positive, we call those blessings. And what they're going to be in the negative, we call those curses. So today, as you interact with the world around you, you must set boundaries for their safety and yours. For the safety of your environment and the safety of their environment. But if you don't spell out consequences, there are no boundaries. All you've done is created a barrier that actually reduces your ability to have influence and them to have influence in your life. Something to think about today. I love you all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.